Most men love the idea of getting down to 10% body fat. Abs, veins, striations, you've got the perfect summer body, but most men will never get there. And that's because the rules change at 15% body fat. Most guys rely on effort alone to lose fat, and that will work to a certain point, but when you get to 15% body fat, effort alone will not get you any further. After this point, the plan that you're following needs to be accurate, and you need to be adherent, or else you're not going to be able to stay in a large enough deficit to lose weight, and you're not going to be able to guarantee consistency so that you can actually strip off all of the last bits of body fat. I've been through countless diets myself. I'm currently just over 5 weeks out from my first ever bodybuilding show. I've also coached over 100 lads to get into elite condition. I understand exactly what stops guys from getting past 15% body fat, and that's what I'm going to cover in this video. So why is 15% the wall? To get down to 15% body fat, things are pretty straightforward. Train semi-consistently, eat a pretty clean diet, have a treat from time to time. You're carrying a decent amount of body fat, so your plan doesn't actually have to be that good for you to elicit a good rate of fat loss and for you to actually drop down to 15% body fat. Below 15%, your body adapts. You've got less and less body fat to strip off. Your body starts to get used to low food, to high expenditure, and this is where accuracy with planning is absolutely crucial for you to keep progressing. Hunger increases, energy decreases, and you have to be willing to sacrifice more for your results. You can't use the same method to get to 10% body fat that you used to get from 30 to 15. You need to have a plan. You need to have a step goal, cardio plan, regimented food. You need to be fully adherent. The milk in the coffee, the couple of biscuits at night, the meal deal at lunch, those are things that you just simply cannot afford to do unless they are accounted for in your plan. Meals out, drinks, whatever it might be, they need to be planned for. If they're not planned for and you're having those things on top of what you're supposed to be having, you're going to skew your results. Those things will keep you stuck. If you have one weekend off, you spiral out of control, you fall off the rails, and that turns into 2 days off plan, and then it's 3 days binging. That turns into a cascade of events that you cannot afford to happen if you want to get down to elite condition, 10 to 12% body fat. If getting to 10% is important to you, you need to plan for everything, absolutely everything. Meals out, meal prep, timings, sleep timings, weight timings, meal timings. Everything needs to be planned, everything needs to be accounted for. My biggest tip here that I use myself would just be to abuse your calendar. Literally time block every 30-minute slot in your day. And that way, you're not leaving anything down to chance. You know every single day that you wake up what needs to get done and the time that you've got allocated to get that thing done. And if you've got that level of accountability every single day holding you to that, chances are you're not going to miss anything. And if you're not missing anything, it's guaranteed results. Another reason why men get stuck is pushing too hard, too aggressively from the jump. You're doing next to nothing, and then the next day you're doing loads of cardio, you're on poverty calories, anything less than 2K calories. And this is tough pill to swallow because yes, you do lose weight really quickly, but you will run into issues very quickly. You'll crash your metabolism, energy will plummet, training performance will plummet, your mood will become awful. And at that point, the process isn't very enjoyable and you can't sustain that method, which means that you'll never get to the end result. It's much, much easier to start from a backloading approach. So you take things steady from the start, give yourself a plan that's more than manageable, that you look at and you know you can complete 100%. And with that repeatability and with that guaranteed consistency, you can ramp things up as and when you need to guarantee that you're moving in the right direction. It's a lot easier to start small and scale things up than it is to start doing too much and then have to bring everything back. It helps with motivation as well if you can tick all of your boxes, and it just keeps you in a much better spot energy-wise, mood-wise, training-wise, and then for longevity of results too. Discipline isn't the issue here, quite the opposite. Like, you're willing to dig, you're willing to put a shift in, but the plan that you've got in place should support your goal, not fight it. So if you are looking at making a change to keep things kicking on, make one change at a time. So change either steps or cardio or your food and just see what happens after you've made that change. Again, start small, scale things up after. Something else that's important to note when making changes is if sleep and stress have been a affected for whatever reason, so work's ramped up, something has happened and stress has picked up, your body weight will fluctuate. So don't make changes if sleep quality has been reduced, if sleep duration has been reduced, or stress has picked up. Do not make changes in response to body weight fluctuations if those two things are in a little bit of a worse spot. Spend a week at baseline, at maintenance, just getting back into routine, then assess what happens with the body weight and make changes only when sleep and stress are back in a normal place. With food, 200 to 300 calorie adjustments is all that's necessary to keep things kicking on. Cardio, add an extra 5 minutes or add in an extra session. Bump up steps 2K. This way, by making those micro adjustments, you keep your energy in a good spot. Like if you're making massive changes, that's going to have a big impact on energy, mood, recovery. So make some more changes. It's going to help you to feel a lot better during the day. Getting to sub 15% body fat is not about diving headfirst into the trenches and making the process as rough as possible. It's the opposite. You want to make the process as manageable and as smooth as possible so that you can guarantee that consistency and guarantee you getting to that end result. So first up, managing hunger. Push your first meal back as far as possible. It's much easier for you to be hungry in the morning than it is for you to be hungry lying in bed knowing you've got no food left. So push your first meal back and consume the bulk of your calories later on in the day. Drink a couple of black coffees in the morning. It's a natural appetite suppressant, which is going to help to subside some hunger, subside some cravings. And then another thing is just to be smart with food choices. So pick foods that are low in calories, high in volume. White fish is great. Boiled potatoes are the best food on earth. Oats are also really good. High water content vegetables are also really good. And then just lean protein sources. I'd also advise going for a 5-minute walk after every single meal to aid digestion and just to keep things moving inside of your body. Now, here's a little trick for cravings. If you really are craving a treat, use this trick. I use it myself and it works. If you're craving a treat, have a big glass of water and wait 15 minutes. I can guarantee the majority of the time you won't have that craving anymore. If you have that water, you wait 15 minutes and you still want a treat, have some, have a little bit. But I can guarantee that that tip will help out. Plan for absolutely everything. It's genuinely really hard to go off track if everything is planned and accounted for. Use your calendar. Use and abuse your calendar. Make sure you've always got food prepped in the fridge, meals ready to take if you need them. And use your calendar to time block out all of your tasks. And again, having that accountability, looking at something, knowing that you've got time to get everything done, not leaving things down to chance, it's really hard to mess up. And if you're serious about your goals, this is just what's necessary to make sure that everything gets done. A lot of people think that getting to sub 10% body fat is extreme, and it's really not. If you do things properly, it's a relaxed, calm, gradual process. There are no radical changes that are being made. Those changes only come when you are doing things just too aggressively, which is unnecessary. It's going to guarantee that you don't get to the end result. Take things steady, start small, scale things up. The process will be more manageable, it will be more enjoyable, and you'll feel better throughout the entirety of the process, and you'll massively increase the likelihood of you actually getting to the end goal of 10%. If you've been stuck at 15% body fat for any period of time, don't think that it's impossible to get below that or that you failed. You just need to tidy up your programming a little bit. Be a little bit more prepared. Account for absolutely everything. Meals out, booze, and just make sure that everything is taken into account. And that way, you've got a very clear idea of where the issues are and what needs adjusting. If you're following a plan that's a little bit random and there are some things that you aren't taking into account, sometimes you miss cardio, sometimes you miss steps, that's where you're going to run into issues because you've got inaccuracy with the plan that you're following. And you can't afford to have that inaccuracy if you want to drop down to 10% body fat. If you want a little helping hand, in my bio, there is a 24-page guide containing everything that you need to know to get down to 10% body fat. It's completely free. Tap on the link and you will have access to it. So go and give that a little look. That's going to wrap up this video. So if you've enjoyed it, drop me a like, drop me a comment with any questions. Don't forget to drop me a sub, and I will catch you in the next one.